Well, hello and welcome back to Little State Big Voices with myself, Shahida, and my fabulous co-host, Tracy.
Hey y'all.
So today joining us, we have some very special guests, some speakers, some innovators, organizers of the highly anticipated TEDx Roxbury 2024. So this is the second year of TEDx Roxbury, and it's looking like it's going to be a bigger success than it was the first year. And Tracy, our dear Tracy, has served on the planning committee. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to her so she can introduce and give a small bio of our fabulous guest.
Hi everyone. So I want to say I'm giving you just a snapshot of what these fantastic people on our panel have done because there's so much. I could probably fill a podcast with each of their accomplishments. So we'll definitely give you information on how to follow these folks so you can learn everything you need to know about them. But I'll first start with Marshall Shelley Gatlin, who is a visionary leader and co-lead organizer of TEDx Roxbury. So she's also involved with the Big Sister of Greater Boston Association, which I am also involved with as part of their diversity board. And Shelley serves as our I can't even speak. Diversity board's president. So just so you know, historically, y'all, I fumble over the bio. So this will be funny in like 10 years when people are talking about this. But Shelley is our esteemed diversity board president at Big Sister. For Dr. Ayana Henderson, she is a speaker from 2023's TEDx Talk. She's an emotional wellness coach, a generational change agent, and a soul care strategist. She's a 5-time international best-selling author, and she was recognized as a top 20 Christian coach and speaker to watch. Dr. Charmaine Jackman, an award-winning psychologist and leadership coach, is also the CEO and founder of InnoSight. She was awarded the City of Boston's Black History Month's Innovator of the Year award in 2021. And last but not least, Kurt Faustin, appointed by Boston Mayor Michelle Wu. Kurt is part of the city's first ever Black Men and Black Boys Commission. Oh, I love that. That speaks to my soul. And was recently selected by Color Magazine's 40 Under 40 Power List. Kurt actually discovered his own science-backed philosophy and principles to improve performance while empowering one to make a permanent change within their mindset. So, I mean, this panel here is everything. So
Blows
if
me
that doesn't
away.
encourage you to go out to TEDx Roxbury, I don't know what will. But once you hear them actually speak and talk to us today, I'm sure you'll be hitting go on that Eventbrite ticket as soon as possible. So
So, I guess we'll start with some questions and then each person can answer, and we'll start with Dr. Charmaine. So, what is your connection to Roxbury?
So I would say, worked in the Roxbury area for many years. I was a former BPS, Boston Public Schools employee. A lot of work that I do with InnoSight actually centers on communities of color. And so Roxbury is a place I go get my royalties. So there's a lot of love and memories there in Roxbury. Actually, one of my first little sisters lived in Roxbury. So lots of connection, both personal and professional.
So, are you a speaker this year?
I am. I am a speaker this year. I'm really excited about that. I had applied a couple years ago when it first came out, and I didn't get in that time. I'm like, I am not going to let that deter me. And so I already thought about the message that I wanted to bring home to Roxbury and to the general public around mental health and well-being and taking care of ourselves.
And that's it. What made you apply? Just those.
I would say what made me apply. I do a lot of speaking, workshops and trainings, and I'm someone who I'm always like, what's the next thing, right? How do I elevate my brand? How do I grow as a person professionally? And one of the things that I wanted to challenge myself to do is to be a better storyteller on stage. I have lots of storytellers in my family. I feel like I didn't get the gene. And so it's sometimes like, well, I can learn how to do this. And I thought that TEDx would be a great avenue and platform to do that. And it has definitely proven so. I can already see the growth that I've learned with our coaches, amazing coaches, throughout the process. And so it's been a tough process. I'm learning a lot, and I can't wait to share my story with you.
Excellent. Excellent.
I want to hear about everyone's connection to Roxbury.
Yeah.
So maybe we can. So, Dr. Ayana, what's your connection to Roxbury?
Well, I live in Georgia now, but I am Boston born and raised. I've only been in Georgia for 3 years, so I can't even claim Georgia as like, I can't even say I'm a Georgian, but graduated from Roxbury Community College, did a lot of work, just my regular 9 to 5 work in Roxbury. Kids went to school in Roxbury. They went to Mason Elementary, and then, they just sort of progressed through the time, but worked at Reggie Lewis Center. I was just in the community. And so I was raised in Dorchester, but did a lot of stuff in Roxbury, family in Roxbury. So yeah, Roxbury is just close to home. So that's my connection with Roxbury.
Okay.
Shelly?
I went to school in Roxbury all of my formative years. So middle school, high school, I lived in Mattapan. But majority of my time was spent, Shahidah. Majority of my time was in Roxbury. From, most of your time is spent in school anyway when you're kids. So all of my friends lived in Roxbury. My extended family now lives in Roxbury. My children, their families are from Roxbury. So I spend more time in Roxbury than I do Mattapan or anywhere else in Massachusetts or Boston.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, by the way. I've done a lot of work in Roxbury. I was the executive director of E for All Roxbury, which was an entrepreneur nonprofit. I actually ran halfway houses in Roxbury for about 6.5, 7 years in the Dimick Center. For the past couple of years, I've been running programs out of Roxbury Community College. Majority of my work is in Roxbury, as I've been on this journey trying to help individuals with mental health and emotional intelligence.
Let's just add something really quick, because there's Roxbury Community College came up a couple of times, and for our Rhode Islanders, it's been a staple. I don't know what year it was incorporated, but I know that when I was in the 8th grade, and it's in the 80s, 90s, it has been a staple of the community. And I know how some kids I want to go to Harvard, or I want to go. I literally wanted to go to Roxbury Community College. I mean, just seeing the students when I was younger in high school going in and out of it, down there and right behind Madison, I was just very impressed. And that was like my first kind of seeing experience of college students. It was almost like a Hillman to me, even though they didn't
different world, right?
Yes, even though they didn't stay on campus. So I guess that would be the way Rhode Islanders might feel about, the community college of Rhode Island here. That I have a real affinity love for Roxbury Community College. And I'm glad to hear that there was some graduates from there. No, I did not end up going.
But it's a full circle moment, because this year's TEDx will be at RCC because we've grown exponentially. So I think that's something that Shelly can also speak to, as far as the growth of us and why we've migrated over to RCC.
Absolutely. Last year's event, we were only able to have 100 attendees. And even with that, there were so many people who wanted to be there. There was so much attention to it. And we were sad to have to, turn away so many others. But this year we're able to host at RCC, a much larger venue, and have over 300 attendees this year. So we're really, really excited. And that's not including our volunteers and our speakers. So we're really excited to be able to do that and to give that to the community.
Shirley, can I ask a question? Because I think so many of us know of TEDx and we see, or well, not actually TEDx, just TED Talks. So how did this come about? It being specific to Roxbury, you, I guess, reaching out to their CEO or whatever to help sponsor that. How did that process happen?
Well, TEDx events are independently organized by community individuals, volunteers. So we're connected to TED, but we're independently organized. TEDxRoxbury came about by the genius of Eric Esteves, because he was the one that started it. He saw the need, he saw the platform, he filled out for the license and said, well, let me see if, other people respond. And they did. I personally responded. I saw his call to action on LinkedIn, and I'm like, I was in a position where I wanted to come out of my comfort zone. And I'm like, I don't know this man, but I love Roxbury, and this is something TED Talks are something that are really, really big, and I felt like it was a really great thing for Roxbury in itself. So I responded, and that was pre-COVID. And so that's when our first event was supposed to happen, like the year of COVID, that May. But we were organizing prior to that, and there were so many volunteers, there were so many people who really poured themselves into the project. And we weren't able to have our first event during that May during COVID. But even after, I was bugging Eric, like, okay, we need to start it over. What are we going to do the next year? Are we still going to, everything's open? And there are so many others who felt the same way. And last year we were able to do that. And it was really, really well received. We're really happy with how the community responded, how volunteers responded, even our sponsors. We're really pleased with that as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's amazing to be a part of it and see the behind the scenes of what makes it tick. Because like you said, Shahida, TEDx sounds like something that exists, but it's out there in the world. It doesn't seem like something that happens in the Roxbury area. So for Eric and Shelly to co-lead an event like this and bring amazing speakers. So just so our audience can know, Dr. Jackman and Kurt will be featured this May 4th at the TEDx Roxbury held at RCC, and they're going to be joined by other speakers as well. This is a sampling, and Dr. Ayana is from last year's cohort, our original inaugural TEDx Roxbury.
So who do we go to next? I feel like Dr. Ayana, since you were there last year, and I did listen in her TEDx speeches on YouTube, so you can actually catch her on YouTube to listen to her. So we know what your connection is, but what made you apply last year?
So last year actually wasn't my first year. I applied when they first came out with the idea and the concept. But I had on my vision board, or my goal board, if you will, in 2019 that I was going to do a TEDx talk. And so I had just started the preparation to become a speaker. And, it wasn't something, this isn't a life goal. I never thought that I would be a speaker. I never thought that I would be a coach. Like, it just wasn't in my purview. HR is my background, and that's where I function well. But, as God would have it, he's like, you have your plans, but I have mine. So you're welcome. So I had just started to train. That's actually how I met Kurt. We were in a speaker development program. I didn't even know he was in Boston when I joined the program, but then later found out. And so I knew Pops. Well, that's what I call him. Sorry, Eric.
From Eric Esteves, aka Pops, to the community.
I knew him from the spoken world community, and I met him in like early 2000s. And, we just kind of remained connected and contacted. And then I saw the call for speakers. I applied. I made it to the second round, and then COVID hit. And so everything was kind of shut down. And then life happened. I ended up moving to Georgia. I saw the call again, and I was like, oh man, now I'm in another state. I was like, but I'm still from the hood. Like, I'm still going to apply. And so we were given, those who first applied, were given the opportunity to reapply with either the same application or to adjust it. And so I made my first talk was actually going to be about something completely different than what I actually talked about. So, I was excited for the growth and the maturity. And by that time, I had done a lot more speaker training and really had invested in who I am as a speaker. And so I just felt like it was fitting to apply again. Took a leap of faith, changed my topic, and really just went full in and just continued to progress to the rounds until I finally got that wonderful, like, congratulations, you have made it. You've been selected. And so that was probably one of the best feelings in the world when you see one of the things that you envision for yourself to actually come to fruition. And I got to go back home to do it. And that was just the icing on the cake. Was I knew my family and friends were already there. It wasn't going to be a stretch. All they had to do was drive down the street and they could come see me do my TEDx. And that was really important to me. So that's how it happened.
And that connection is important. That's one of the questions on the application is, what is your connection to Roxbury? And that's one of, and Shelley, you can speak a little bit to that, like the prioritization of people who have a connection to our city.
Well, that's really important because we want people on the stage that really embody Roxbury, that really speak to the things that people in Roxbury go to, the community that they're going through. Mental health is a big issue. Even writing a will for yourself, you know what I mean? Taking care of yourself, self-care, those are all issues that are really prevalent in the Black community, especially in Roxbury. But having voices that have a deep connection to Roxbury makes it even better, so that those who are coming from the community who've never even heard of TEDx, never mind TEDxRoxbury, they can see a familiar face, or they can see someone and there's an immediate connection saying, oh, well, they really understand. They're not, they're not foreign to what, our plight is here and what we're going through, and, those feelings that I have. So that's really important to us when we're doing our selection, when we're doing the applications, that you do have some sort of connection to the community.
So, Kurt, we haven't heard from you yet. We heard about your connection to Roxbury, but what made you apply?
I originally applied back in I only told the story once. I told Eric this story the other day. I applied back in late 2019 as an organizer, as I was actually trying to bring TED Talk to Hyde Park, Mattapan, not Roxbury, to be honest with you. I was trying to bring it on the other side.
Big up Hyde Park.
Big up Mattapan. I'm always going whoop whoop Mattapan.
I was trying to bring it to my Haitians out there. That was my original goal, but it got denied because they recently gave a license to TEDxRoxbury, and they suggested I work with him in regards to creating one. And I was like, nah, it's all right. Then the pandemic happened, and then when the pandemic happened, I actually applied to TED. Afterwards, I applied to TEDx in Los Angeles, and I got denied because I just wanted to spread my wings a little bit. And then last year I applied to TEDxRoxbury, and I swear I thought I had the perfect application. It was beautiful. To this day, I know that application was probably even stronger than this year's. It was just perfect. But they denied me. And so I was going on 3 denials. And I'm actually grateful that they denied me last year, because last year I was not in the best emotional state. My mom recently passed away, and I think the energy and the lessons I can now bring is 1,000,000% different what I would have gave a year ago. So everything happened in the right time. I applied again this year. I didn't even want to apply, to be honest. A friend called me up, it's like, Kurt, it's the last day. You better put your TED Talk in. I did it. And we're here now. I'm grateful for it.
Wow,
You
that's
need
very
friends like
interesting.
that. And so, Charmaine, talk to us about your application process. What made you apply?
Yeah, I was funny because I was just about to jump in. So somewhat similar to some of the other folks, I also applied in 2019. And I had a topic, it was, surrounding mental health as well. And I was also very sure I was going to get in. So I was devastated when it didn't happen. But I think everything happens time and season. And so when this application came around, I was thinking about it, like, what am I going to talk about this time? I think the topic that I had was really kind of a potentially triggering topic. So I was like, let me think about it. And then I was actually in St. Louis attending a conference, and was with my sister-in-law. And I was like, oh crap, the deadline's today. And we were an hour behind. So I like forgot that. So I'm like literally typing this thing 15 minutes before it's midnight. I sent in my application. I was like, oh my God. Like not
You know what you guys just taught me?
not
Persistence.
planet. Persistence for sure. And I was really surprised when I got the application that I moved to the second round. And then I had to submit a video. You have to submit like a 3-minute video. No, maybe less than that. So I submitted my video and was really excited, that I made it through to the finals. So again, similar, I think I mentioned this earlier. This is something that, similar to you, Dr. Ayana, this was on my vision board as well. And coming from a family of storytellers, I'm like, I got to up my storytelling game. And so that was really the inspiration. And I think, again, just a lot of my work and personal life, I'm always in Roxbury for something, dropping the kids at a program, like I said, picking up my rotis, going to the bowling building for work, right? There are all these ways in which, Roxbury just seems to be the center. So I do feel it's a huge honor to get to represent Roxbury in this way, and this TEDxRoxbury. And the folks who are on, the speaker list this year are amazing. Kurt and I are in the same small group, so it's been wonderful to see his speech evolve over time. And so I think we're all growing and we're learning from each other and supporting each other, hyping each other up. So it's been a wonderful process as well. So thanks to Shelly and Eric for also creating a community that allows us to thrive.
I'm so glad you all didn't give up. I think that's my takeaway from what you said so far, Kurt and Charmaine, especially you guys being together in this year's cohort, is that you despite not getting in your first attempt, you tried again. And I think there are other people that are probably in a similar boat to you. They may have even applied 2 years in a row and not gotten in. My words to them would be, keep going, keep trying, because you never know. And even Dr. Ayana, you could have said, you know what, I applied, pandemic hit, I'm not going to reapply. I'm on to something else, but it just was your time. And like Dr. Charmaine said, it's the season. It was your season for it. So Shelly, what would you say to people who are out there applying or considering applying?
I would say apply, even if you feel insecure about it, even if you feel, like a lot of people don't feel like they're enough. And I think that's a really important thing to highlight as well. A lot of people see Roxbury in a certain light as what they see in the media, and that it's just violent and, they're no good. And it's just, you shouldn't go through there. But this is this is an event that really highlights Roxbury and shows, what really is coming out of Roxbury, what it really does embody. And I would say apply anyway. We have amazing coaches, we have great volunteers. We are our own little community within a community that really, help to push you forward and champion you, because it's so important for voices to be heard, especially unheard voices. And that's really another another thing to highlight. We really want unheard voices as well. So don't think that, you have to be, you have to have 1,000 or 20,000 followers or anything. You should apply.
And to your point, Shelly, we're not looking for necessarily people who have prior speaking experience. That can be helpful, but sometimes it's just as helpful to not have any prior experience and to be an empty canvas for our coaches, who I have to really shout out our coaches, because they are phenomenal people. I think I already said it at the top of the podcast, but they are the unsung heroes that really work with people, because I'm the type of person, I can have an idea or concept. I need structure for someone to like give me the structure to actually step up on stage and do that. Some people can do it themselves, but we're just looking for a kernel of an idea. It's like the mustard seed, and those coaches can spin gold. They really do. Special shout out to Coach Gary, because he's
Right.
awesome.
You just took it right out of he was my coach. And He was
Well, he was
phenomenal.
my coach. Well,
Is
he is
he?
my coach.
Oh, that's amazing. Last year he had all the closers. That's how great he was. He had all the closers. And so shout out to Alex, shout out to Joseph, because we were team 5, and Gary was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Because I know nothing about TED Talks, I didn't know that they had coaches. So I would like Shelley to kind of expand on the coaches in each one, talk about, your coaches and your experience and how that helped you. Because when I think of TED Talk, I'm just thinking these people are professional speakers and they just hit the stage. But it sounds like it's more of a process. So can you just kind of expand a little bit on that? Because now I'm thinking like, oh, I can do a TED Talk.
You
Well, you
can
absolutely
totally
can,
do it.
Shahida. You absolutely can. You should apply. But our coaches are volunteers.
Mhm.
A lot of them are in academia. They're teachers, principals. Gary specifically is great at project management. He has like this knack for just pulling things together and pulling things out of people, and showing you your best self. So he definitely has that gift. But all of our coaches are they're all volunteers, and they really pour themselves into um, fostering what that unique thing in each of our speakers, and they're all wonderful at what they do. Simone, they're amazing. There's so many. They're so
Sonia,
amazing.
who's a former
Sonia.
speaker. Yes, Dr. Sonia Pratt.
Hmm.
Matos, right? So yes, we have some really, I mean, our coaches, when I say they care, and this is something that they really take personally as far as helping to develop the speakers.
It
Honestly,
really is.
I can't say enough about our coaches, but yes, Shahida, you should apply. And yes, we will make sure you get amazing coaching. Um, so to that to that point, so the process is kind of, the application gets put out there. We put a call to action out on social media. So everybody follow at TEDxRoxbury on Instagram and your socials so that you can be up to date when the next application opens up in the fall. But basically, it's an application. You do a digital application virtually, and then there's a video that we'll ask for in the next round. And then once we have selected you as a speaker, we'll let you know either way if you've been accepted or not. Again, we encourage people to reapply even if you don't get in when you expect to get in. And then the work starts. That's when we start meeting on a regular basis with our speakers, and we want to make sure that you get partnered with the coach. And again, you're in a cohort, so you're with other people. And what we found is that these people stay connected. So it's a networking opportunity. It's a community building thing. So even behind the scenes, aside from the talk itself, the community that's being built behind the scenes is invaluable.
I think it's
So
also important to note that your application is completely anonymous. We don't have anyone's name or anything like that, so there's no preferential treatment. So when we get all of the applications, when we're reviewing them, we don't see your name. All we see is your talk and the information that you've provided. And then later on, we get to know who everyone is, but it's completely anonymous to start out. So there isn't any special treatment or anything. So that's important to note as well.
Wow.
absolutely. So to kind of think back to when you all decided to apply, how did you choose your topics? I'm going to start with Dr. Ayana because she spoke last year, and then we'll go to Kurt and then Charmaine.
So the topics that I speak on, I coach on, is generational health. And it's about leaving a legacy of not just finances, but also, emotional stability and, mental strength and spiritual foundation. I think those are all important to pass down to, your children, your children's children. That wasn't the initial topic. The initial topic was called the Independent Love Project. The initial one that I was going to do was taking the concept of the IEP and applying it to your children. And so with the IEP, there's all these specialized things that you get to do. Like my son had an IEP. So I was like, well, what if parents, since we don't get a playbook when our children are born, what if we can create one by having child-friendly assessments that allow us to strategically love on our children based on the way they need, not what we think and not the way that we were parented. And so that has transitioned and progressed, and it's still a project in the making, but that then progressed when, similar to Kurt, I lost both of my parents 15 months apart. So my dad passed away right before they shut down the world. And then my mom passed away 15 months later from COVID, unexpectedly in April. And so that transition, that shifted a lot for me in terms of thinking about things that I inherited from my parents, all the forgiveness, the anger, all the things you go through for grief. You know, you get mad at them, you start seeing things and you're just like, this isn't right. Like what is going on? And, you know, and then you're looking at your children and you're seeing certain things show up in them, and you're seeing certain, not to sound spooky or religious, but, you know, if you have sort of the spirit of alcohol and addiction and things like that, that are running through your bloodline, and you start to see, you know, my oldest son is 24. And so I started to see certain patterns in him that were in my father. And I understand why my father is the way that he was. But for you, son, it does not have to be that way, because you don't have the same circumstances. You didn't grow up in Alabama. You didn't lose your mom as a teenager. You didn't have to become the man of the family at like 12. You didn't have to do these things. So there are certain things that we can break. And, so that's been sort of the premise of everything that I do. And I figured if this is going to be an idea that I get to share with the world, then for certain it's going to be about legacy, because all the other things come as a result of that. So generational health has been my platform for the last 3 years. It will continue to be my platform, because I just believe that, you know, we have the ability. And then the second sort of part was, there's this, you know, as Black women, we want to say that our children are showing up a certain way or they're behaving a certain way because their father wasn't in the home. Well, for me, it's like the reality, sis, is your kids are around you. So you need to change. So kids can't
Ooh.
show up as a parent who's not there. He's not there. Like, so what are they really picking up from the absent father? So, no, ma'am, why don't you heal so you can heal your children? So I do call out the Black woman to heal. I do call her out because she has such a responsibility for her children, but she has such power and such strength and such capacity to change the trajectory for her children. So not afraid to do that. I love y'all. But
That's
it's not
powerful.
we
And I
heal
don't think it's a
and change.
dig. I don't think that's a dig on
No,
Black
yeah.
women. I think that's definitely those are words of encouragement more than anything. And I also want to acknowledge, I'm sorry to hear that you, Ayana and Kurt, lost your parents, especially during such a volatile time. My heart goes out to you for that.
I love it. I'll jump in. I want to say, actually, last year, Iona's presentation was one of my favorites. I remember yours vividly. And being able to have the same coach as you too, it really did motivate me. So amazing job, amazing presentation you did last year. I would encourage everyone to go check it out. This year, it's interesting. This process for me has been very unique because I do speak. I do speak a lot in my career. I tend to, I don't know how to say it. Like, I had a topic. I don't write my speeches. That's been one of the unique challenge. Unique challenge for me is creating a 15-minute presentation without writing a word down. It's very fun, actually. It's a little bit different. So working with the coaches, I know I probably drive them crazy because they're like, "Hey, Kurt, send me over your talk." I'm like, "All right, you ready? I'm about to do it right now." And they're like, "What the hell are you talking about, Kurt? Write it out." And it's just a different process. We all learn differently, right? But my talk is around self-care and how I believe it's truly limiting us. There are amazing principles within self-care, but I do think it doesn't work for everybody. And we do need to redefine and enhance how we look at self-care, specifically in the Black and brown community.
So you're the Jay-Z of our TED Talk, is what you're saying. You don't write anything
I
down.
mean, if you want to give me that title, I'll take it. But yeah, seriously, there's no writing process, but I love working with the coaches because they have challenged me to see things in a different perspective. challenge just the little things in regards to making the little things that will make the presentation a lot better, a lot more impactful, because it's not really about us sharing our story. Like who really cares about our story if it doesn't have an impact on the audience, right? The goal is to give something transformational that the audience can leave there with and be like, you know what, today I'm better than yesterday.
So you start with an idea, and from there you just speak from the soul when you get on the stage.
Well, I can't do that with TED Talk because it has
Okay.
with the TED Talk process, they want to know every syllable you're going to say. Forget a
Oh
sentence. They
wow.
want to know
Okay.
every syllable that you're going to say before you get on that stage, right? And so what's been unique and very fun and challenging is like, okay, next time I see my coach, I have to make sure I remember everything I said last time, but we're talking about 12 to 15 minute worth of words that you're memorizing from day one. So from day one, when I remembered Dr. Charmaine and myself while we're in the room, I just said exactly what I had. But I don't know, it's just a different process. I think I was really meant to be a rapper back in the day, but unfortunately I'm doing mental health. Or fortunately I'm doing mental health.
There's
Fortunately,
still
because it's
time.
needed.
I'm too young for
No,
that.
it's just you just make it spoken word. So Shahida and I, we were at an awards program last week, and we just come to realize that basically spoken word people just wanted to be rappers, and rappers sometimes want to be spoken word people.
So Dr. Charmaine, how do you pick your
Yeah, so
topic?
yeah, this has been, just I want to pick up from where Curtis was just speaking from, like thinking about the process has really helped you kind of evolve as a speaker. I think the thing for me, I do like writing things down. And it has actually been helpful. And I have also evolved where, I'm used to doing PowerPoint presentations. So I have my PowerPoint there and I can do. But we were told we can't use slides. I'm like, what? So I've definitely done the writing. That helps me feel grounded. But in terms of the topic, I am a psychologist, and I definitely wanted to talk about mental health. It's interesting that we're on this podcast together, right? But I wanted to focus on mental health. A lot of InnoPsych, the company I started, is about helping Black and Brown communities of color, shift how they think about their own mental health and well-being, and their own mental health and well-being. And so that is a mission of mine, and that is what I wanted to bring to the stage. And so, but I've had to think about how do I personalize it. And I think one of the things that I've seen from where my talk was when I first started to where it's at now, I kind of came to at it like I was still going to be a psychologist telling people what to do. And the coaching in some ways said, no. You got to share your process as well. And so it's like, ooh, okay. I like, being the psychologist. You tell me about your problem and I help you. So it's actually, I've had to flip the script. And I think that is part of storytelling, right? You have to share your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has really, again, helped me to evolve and get comfortable sharing. Like, I'm not used to telling my story
Mm-hmm.
in such a public format, but I think it has also been liberating for me. And so my topic centers around well-being, without giving too much away, because we want you to come out and check us out.
We're just giving the sizzle, not the steak here.
In my bio, I talk about having a few episodes of burnout. And so I use that as a call to action for people. And I think that is also the thing about the talk, which I think I was able to change in my application, was what is the message that I'm asking people to shift? And so it's something that I have had to shift for myself. And it's something that I'm inviting people to think about. How do you shift for yourself as well? So I don't know, is that too vague, or are you guys?
No, that's good. I think that's enough, because once you talk a lot about storytelling, Dr. Charmaine, which I'm a big proponent of like listening to storytelling. That's like my favorite type of podcast to listen to, is people coming and telling their personal stories. And so I think that's the secret sauce of a TEDx, is that you get to hear about someone's real experience, but in a way that you can connect with the audience. So I think all of your topics are very crucial, very timely right
And
now.
Tracy,
So
if I can add, I think the thing, because I love story, I love Living to the Moth. Story art, like I love
me too, me too. I
right?
love the
I love it.
boxes.
But I think the thing about TED, which is, I think I finally got it like a couple weeks ago, is about that call to action. What are people going to do differently? And I think that's what makes TED and TEDx unique.
So Shelley, wouldn't you say that's an important part of the actual application process, is fine tuning and really tapping into that call to action?
Absolutely. Even with the broader TED talks, the initial is, coming up, having an idea and spreading the word about that idea, but also, to create change and to make change. So the call to action is really important. And that's what we look for as well in applications. Like, what's the call to action? What do you really want to do? Is there a change that you want to see in the world that you want to speak to? And how do we go about that change? So we start with the idea, and then I spread that idea with, a call to action.
Can I
Because
jump?
we can talk all day about hot
Oh yeah.
topics.
Oh, go ahead. Jump
Yeah.
in.
Go ahead, Kurt.
I think there's another huge part of this that I'm very proud of and that we're doing, is the fact being that we are challenging what people look at Roxbury as, right? What people look at the inner city of Boston as. And shout out to Eric and the leadership team, you, Shelley, as well. The fact being that we're able to put people who represent an idea that's going to live longer than them is so beautiful, because now when they see me, every time I go into a room and I tell people I'm a mental health educator, they don't believe me. They ask for my credentials. All the time. They ask for my credentials. I get questioned if I'm a rapper, for example. I get questioned. I'm about 6'3", 250. No, I'm joking, but I'm 6'2". Really. They ask me if I play sports. But the fact being that now we have a stage where you're going to see a young Black man being able to speak about mental health. Do you know what that does for the next generation? Our current generation. Dr. Charmaine's up there going to, and I already heard her talk. It's fabulous, by the way. She's going to go up there and give gems. Like, the fact being that we get to show a different representation of what Roxbury is, what the city of Boston looks like. I think that's going to help, hopefully, a paradigm shift in the city of Boston beyond. Because too many times they think of Boston as Irish and we got to go to the car. And it's not, it's deeper than that.
So the level of authenticity is what really keeps me coming back to TEDx, is that we do this for us. And if other people benefit, so be it. That's great. But we do it for us. We do it for basically the Roxbury culture. And it's very important to us that what we're doing is not like people advertising themselves or their businesses. It's about what can we do to build and strengthen community. And back to that call to action, there's so many topics that are like hot buttons. Last week was Black Maternal Health Week, and all over the world, people were talking about it ad nauseum. What you gonna do about it? That's what TEDx. That's the difference with TEDx Roxbury. Because if we bring you a topic, we're gonna bring you a solution or some options.
And I love. I mean, so this is just 3. How many actual speakers are going to be at TEDx, Shelley?
13 this year.
So out of the 13, is it all on mental health, or is it other topics?
There are definitely other topics. A lot of it is mental health, self-care, social justice. So we have a range of topics, and they're all exciting. All the speakers are phenomenal in their own right. And I'm excited for everyone to experience it. Like, I'm fangirling a little bit because of some of our speakers. And just after hearing, the ones that are unknown, I'm like, wow, like, I can't wait to follow them too. So I know that everyone else is going to have the same experience.
Well, the thing that is really dear to me is the fact that we have 3 people here that are going to be talking about mental health, and I just feel at this time, and I guess it's just every generation we just have a heavy load to carry, and this year 2024 being an election year, it just seems extremely heavy. So and the the generational well-being and emotional well-being, that's something I've never even heard before. So to bring that out and make that a topic is absolutely, kind of, it's just, excellent that you could just kind of put those thoughts and then bring it to us so that we can help heal ourselves. And then with Dr. Charmaine and Kurt, you kind of like, bring it all home with the emotional wellness, because it's something that we deal with generation after generation. We're still trying to find ways to heal. So I commend that, and I'm looking forward to the other subjects of social justice, especially, but
I,
because that goes hand in hand.
People will be pleasantly surprised.
Mhm.
So while some of these topics may feel a little heavy, we have the speeches that you're going to hear. You've never heard speeches like this before. I'm just letting you know.
Agreed.
You think you know what to expect, but you have no idea. You have to come out to really experience it. And especially with Kurt, your involvement with the youth, especially Black men and boys,
Oh my
this is a
God. Yeah.
crucial and highly pivotal time just because of the way the world is going. We're regressing, unfortunately. And so we have to really deep dive into taking care of all of us, but particularly our Black men and boys. So we're getting toward the end, but I guess what we would probably do is go around and ask is, what else do you want us to know, either about your TED Talk or about what's next for you? And we can go with start with Dr. Ayana and then go back around Dr. Charmaine and then Kurt.
Well, first I want to say congratulations to Kurt and Dr. Charmaine. I am so excited for your talks. I was hoping to be there in person to cheer you on, but I will be watching virtually here in Georgia. But I know that you will all do phenomenal. I'm just like, Kurt is like a big brother to me. I don't know if he knows that, but you are, so you're welcome. Hey, bro. And so just to have even experienced his excitement when I did my talk, and afterward, and he was like, yo, you did this, you did that, you did this. I'm just as excited for you. And I know it's going to be extremely phenomenal, and it's going to resonate, and it's going to be impactful. Dr. Charmaine, I am excited for your release, that you are going to share your story, because I think it's way more impactful when you get to share a part of you, and especially as a psychologist, because we never get to see that side. We just think you guys are strong, you got it all together, you're going to fix it, you're the fixer. And that's why I'm going to you. And oftentimes, we get into these fields because we ourselves have been impacted in some way, and we just say, not on my watch. And so when we don't do it personally, we do it professionally. And so I'm just excited that you're leaning in, and we get to hear your story as you become a TEDx storyteller. So excited, so excited.
I love that.
And hey, Coach Gary, just wanted to make sure I shout out Coach Gary. I think as far as for me, one of the things that I think I have coming down the pipeline, it's called Sisterhood and Soul Care. And so it will be an online coaching community to allow Black women to come in and have a safe space to heal. And so it's not an arm and a leg to get in. I feel like your healing shouldn't come at a cost where you're trying to determine, do I pay bills, or do I do coaching or get therapy, or, any of those things. So, just be on the lookout for Sisterhood and Soul Care. And it's part of Warrior Womanhood, which is my platform. And that's about restoring the biblical birthright back to Black women and becoming who God has called them to be. So just kind of those two things that I have coming down the pipeline, and I'm just excited to watch this year's TEDx speakers, and, shout out to the committee and everything. Y'all were phenomenal, and it was hot that day. Woo!
Thank you.
Phenomenal. So, I know you guys feel like you have a lot on your shoulders, especially representing Roxbury in such a positive light. And so I'm just praying that all goes well, praying for all the tech, praying for all the people involved, praying for all the volunteers, all the moving parts that happen that day, all the audio that has to happen,
Oh yeah.
and just
Yes.
the facilities and everything. Hold up. Shout out to RCC. Go Tigers.
Shout out to our AV people, because honestly, they're they were clutch, and they will be clutch again this year.
Agreed.
Shelly?
Oh, what do I want you to know?
Oh, I thought we were going this way.
We,
I'm sorry.
I think I had said Dr. Charmaine, then Kurt, and then we were gonna end with
Wrap up
Shelly.
with okay.
Yeah, because Shelly has all the deets that we need.
Okay. So Dr. Charmaine, I'm sorry.
Thank you. And I just thank you, Dr. Ayana, for the love and the encouragement.
That was
So
real love too.
yeah, I receive it. I receive it. And I'm going to watch all those TEDx's again. I've started to do the rounds.
They're on YouTube. They're on
Yeah,
YouTube.
they're on YouTube. Yes. So I would say for me, a lot of work that we're doing with InnoPsych is actually very similar to what I'm going to be talking about. So we've started doing some more work, intentional work with workplaces around their culture and racial stress. And so we actually have launched a couple programs in the last year, one called Racial Trauma in the Workplace. We will be launching a new landing page that highlights our workplace well-being. So check out, that's coming, in May. So check that, check back our website around that. But I'm also looking, I think, similarly to Dr. Ayana and Kurt, I've done a lot of speaking, and I'm looking to really kind of just elevate my platform and use what I've gained through this process to make me an even more impactful storyteller. I'm receiving that title too, storyteller. I'm going to channel my Auntie Kay and my cousin Mike, who are the storytellers in our community, in my family. But I really want to be able to use my experience, my professional and personal experience, to really shift a culture in the workplace for Black people, Black women especially. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. I also am working on a book around entrepreneurship for therapists. That should be out soon. And just kind of continuing to elevate the work that we're doing at InnoPsych to make mental health relevant for our community. And I wanted to just also highlight, in addition to Coach Gary, I've gotten support from Coach Simone and Coach Sonia. So I didn't want to leave without acknowledging them, because
they are great.
Yeah, and they've all helped me to mold my speech into what it is today. So I would be remiss without acknowledging their support as well. Thank you.
Myself, my organization, we just actually released a book. I'm really excited about it. It's called Discover the 7 Lies That Are Keeping You Mentally, I can't say the other word, but I don't want to spread too much, but it's just really exposing and challenging the status quo, how we look at mental health, how we look at self-care, specifically for millennials, more specific for the Black and Brown community, because even though we're in a unique time span where we're one of the most knowledgeable generations ever in history, but certain statistics show we're more depressed than ever, more anxious than ever. We're just going through so many different mental obstacles and challenges, and it really doesn't make sense. So I'm trying to help a lot of my people unlearn to relearn what it means just to be yourself, what success looks like, putting together in different programs for organizations and educational institutions. So really excited about the next chapter.
We're excited for you too. And definitely, where can people find your book, Kurt?
Great question. We have it on our website, or even if you go to my Instagram, Kurt Faustin, it's on Kurt Faustin. You click on it, you'll see all of our information. It's there. You only pay for shipping and handling. Everything else is free of charge, just because we just want to get the information out there. We want to expose people to the truth.
That's so exciting. And Dr. Ayana and Dr. Charmaine, what are your social media handles? Where can we find you online?
So I am at Warrior Womanhood Coach, and that's on Instagram, but then also on Facebook. It is my full name, Ayana M. Henderson. My profile is public because I like new friends. And then on Facebook, the business page is Warrior Womanhood as well.
And for us, our business page is InnoPsych, Inno like innovative, and Psych like psychology. So InnoPsych on Instagram, Facebook, it's InnoPsych MA. And I have decided to close my Twitter/X account. I
Good.
stand on that.
They're
Yes.
dead to me. So
Good.
And yeah, our website, innopsych.com as well.
so Shelly, give us the juice. What do people need to know about Saturday, May 4th? What do people need to know about our TEDx?
Saturday, May 4th, we will be at RCC, 1234 Columbus Ave. Please get your tickets on Eventbrite. Our programming should be about 9 to 3. You will be able to rest in between. We have intermission. We have food. Please come out, enjoy yourself. Make sure you mute your phones. We do ask that you don't bring babies. That's a big thing. It's not an event for little babies, but if you want to bring in younger children who know how to sit for a long period of time, please do, because it is definitely an experience. It's definitely something that we want to introduce to the youth as well. Next year, we'll have some younger talent on stage, and we want to give them that opportunity to have their voices heard as well. So yes, 9 to 3, but please hurry up and get your tickets because they're almost sold out. I think we only have about 75 left. So
right, we do have a limit.
tickets.
We do have a limit. And Roxbury Community College is, if you want to travel by MBTA, you can get off right at the Roxbury Crossing station and carefully cross the street to get to us, or you can drive. Parking is kind of first come, first serve. So plan ahead. It's going to be an early day, 9 a.m. on a Saturday, but believe me, the time will fly. That 3 o'clock, you will want to stay for those closers. So
you will. And make sure you look good too. You might be caught on camera. So they have that on the TED site. So make sure you look nice.
So I was thinking about bringing my 13-year-old grandson. Well, he'll be 13 May 1st.
Yes,
So,
you gotta bring that boy.
Yeah, I was thinking, and I'm gonna ask you, but you said that, and I was specifically thinking of like Kurt when I was saying like, I need to, think about him when I think about this mental health and young Black men. So yeah, I think I'm gonna grab him a ticket as well. It wasn't my intention at first, but I'm glad you said, that it is definitely for kids too. Well,
my 11-year-old will be there, so yeah, bring them.
Yes, and that's the thing, is that camaraderie. The kids start to get to know each other too. There's so many people, unexpected connections that come out of this experience. And Darius can volunteer for us next year. He'll be like he'll be 14 next year. We need volunteers for this year and next year. So
strong backs.
All right, he's there. We got him.
So I think that's about it. Thank you so much for all of your time. We've really enjoyed speaking with you all. And I know you've got a ton of things to do, including tighten up that speech because it's coming up. But I have complete faith in you, Dr. Charmaine and Kurt, that you're going to just knock everybody's socks off. Dr. Ayana, I know you have you're continuing to blaze a trail. And Shelly, like, I don't even understand how you wear all the hats that you wear, because between TEDx, Big Sister, and all the other amazing things you're doing, like I'm so glad that I get to work with you at 2 different organizations. I have to say that.
Thank you,
and
Tracey.
I want to say,
I feel the same.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, closing out too. When Tracey said there were going to be 4 people on, I was very resistant because I'm like, I just thought it was just going to be, whatever. This is probably one of the best podcast episodes that we have done. I have been so inspired by all of you. It was actually, I'm just saying, it was really a great hour that we spent together. I learned a lot. Like I said, I didn't know much about TED Talk. I learned that, the process, but each one of you, I can't wait to May 4th to listen to you guys.
I'm telling you, the others, you were gonna leave there on a high. I'm
already high. I'm already high.
From last year, so this year it's only gonna get better. So
it was great, and I hope everyone goes out and get their tickets. The date again is May 4th at at the Roxbury Community College. I was going to
Across
say Reggie
from
Lewis.
the Reggie
Yeah.
Lewis.
At Roxbury Community College. And again, thank you all for being here. I've been very inspired, and I hope our listeners will be inspired too and go out and buy those doggone tickets.
Yep. Get
Have a
one for
great
you
one.
and get one for your friend. Okay.
Yes. Have a great one.
Having us.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. Take care.